Hi, my name is Ann, and I'm here to share my testimony from my very dark past. Um, I got married at 18 to get out of the house. I had a very controlling mother, and didn't marry for love, but married for a way to just get out, And it was somebody to take care of me. Things were great for a little while, and then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, abuse started. And for about a year and a half, I lived with it and I dealt with it. And I finally got up the nerve to leave. So one day, when my husband at the time was going to be gone all day, I called my mom and dad and finally got up the guts to tell them what was going on, because I never said anything before because I didn't want to hear the I told you so's. And my dad came and picked me up and brought me to a shelter. In the shelter, you had 6 weeks to um, to get a job, get on your feet. Well, for me, I had a child that was less than a year old. My son was 9 months old, and there was no way. I didn't finish college. There was no way in 6 weeks I was going to get a job that was going to pay me enough to take care of daycare, rent, and everything else. So I did the only thing that I thought to do, and that was to go back. So I went back, and lo and behold, a couple months later, I was pregnant again. Was not a happy occasion on my ex-husband's side. He didn't want to share me with anybody as it was, and that was most of our problem to begin with, because he felt like the baby took up too much time. So I had my first abortion. I kind of stuffed it and didn't think much about it for a long time, and did have dreams about crying babies, and didn't really think a whole lot of it. After 7 years and 3 months, we divorced because I had finally had enough of the drugs and the alcohol, and now we were into the infidelity. So that was enough for me. Um, Still had not finished school, really. I was doing hair. Um, I had 2 kids. We had another little girl, and that I put my foot down with that one. And no, he wanted me to abort her as well, and I said no. And I was working 3 jobs just to try to keep my head above water, and ended up giving custody of my kids back over to my ex-husband because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it on my own. So I was then again alone and looking for anybody to take care of me. I was so needy, is probably the good word for it, that I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And just before my divorce was to be final, I found out I was pregnant again. Um, First thought was, oh my gosh, what is everybody going to think? What are my kids' friends' parents going to think? What are my mom and dad going to think? I'm never going to hear the end of this from him. So I had my second abortion. Um, I don't remember the whole procedure. I remember very vividly the first one. I remember the lack of compassion. I remember the whole clinicalness of it. Um, the patting me on the leg and saying, it's okay, dear, it'll be over in just a couple minutes. No counsel, no nothing. And you were just off, just to go and live your life again. The second one, I remember the drive there. I don't remember anything after that. About a year and a couple months later, I met my husband. Wonderful man that he is. He was an extreme backslidden Christian, but I still saw God in his eyes. And I really think that was my major attraction to him. We got married, and I found God, or he found me, or I answered the call. And we had 2 children, both premature, because of my abortions. My second one was 9 weeks premature. He was 3 pounds, 14 ounces, and not very well. When he was a few days old, they did a head scan and found bleeding in his brain. And they said, depending on the severity of the bleeding, and how long it lasted would depend on his level of retardation. That's when it hit me. I was really on the very edge of having a complete breakdown. I just knew God was punishing me. He was punishing me because I took two of his. And if it wasn't for my pastor and my husband and my God, I never would have made it through. But through God's grace and God's mercy, He healed me, He forgave me, and now I do His work.